Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer and welcome back to Train Sim World. And we are on the Great Western Express DLC tonight. And I need to run over here. It's a little tricky, I'll tell you what's going on once we get sorted out. But this first part is a little tricky. I don't know how I feel about it. And when I say I don't know how I feel about it, I mean, I don't really like it. I think this is a little hokey and a little contrived. Right, I had to use my gamepad to get here because I needed my run button. Sit in the driver's seat. Right.
This train is a semi-stopping service to Slough. Get things set up ready for departure. We'll be heading out shortly.
Right. So, I need to unlock. Alright. Set the headlights to day. Right. Door release buttons. Right. Okay. So, the first kerfuffle. You know the whole deal where I had CSX Heavy Haul and I couldn't understand why they weren't releasing TSW. And I was seeing DLC for CSX Heavy Haul. And that wasn't working for me. I needed DLC for Train Sim World. And then I finally understood, that CSX Heavy Haul was the first installment of TSW and the DLC. That's why there's been like a 1 year delay on me playing this sim. I am not even joking when I say that. Like, that's how dumb I am. So, let's get out of the station. I'll tell you the rest. All right. Or we can sit here for 2 minutes. Yeah, let's do that instead. So, now I have to get all this DLC for CSX. So we did an episode of CSX a few days ago, last week. And then a couple days ago, we did an episode of TSW Rapid Transit, which is a DLC. Tonight, we're doing an episode of TSW Great Western Express, which is a DLC, which I just got this morning. And I've played around in it a little bit, but I haven't done any scenarios yet. I haven't really done anything yet. And it's, one of the big, I guess, selling points of TSW was you could get out of the train and walk around. You could interact with the environment. I think they played that hand a little too hard. So this, as an example, you start in Paddington Station, and you have to get to a train and get in and get it ready. One of the trains, it's getting ready to depart in like 2 minutes. So you have to literally run through the station. Me personally, I think that's a little contrived. I don't know how I feel about that, other than to say I don't like it. So we'll get out of the station and then we will, I don't know. I like the sim. I'm pleased with everything about it, but that one aspect of it is just a little, not really, no, not really doing it for me. So, and this also, I guess this is realistic. I know there's one other scenario where you have to get in a train as a passenger and ride like 20 minutes and then get out of the train as a passenger and get in another train as a driver and then sit for 15 minutes, I think. And I really don't know where they're headed with that. I assume it's something. But I don't get it. I really don't get it. I just did that. Right. Okay. Can we go? Do the thing. Now we can go. 3. There you have it. All right. They see me rolling. They hating. Trying to catch me training dirty. All right. Well, Paddington Station has given me a kind of a hit on frame rate, but that's to be expected. Can't have everything in this life. Where would you put it? So now we're getting out of Paddington. Frame rate is picking up. Also to be expected. That's fantastic. And this is a 30-minute scenario, and I think that's about all I'm good for tonight because it's been kind of a long day. Back the throttle down a little bit. Yeah, I like everything about the way Dovetail put this all together, but that thing where you have to sit and do nothing for 15 minutes, I don't really get that. If there's a time compression on the game, I haven't found it yet. I think you legitimately have to sit there for 15 minutes doing nothing. And I don't get that at all. That's not... To me, that doesn't make any sense as a gamer. And... Let me think how I want to say this. Time is really, really important. And I feel fortunate that I have the time to game. But the idea that I would spend 15 minutes of the time that I have to game pretending to realistically be a train driver waiting for permission to depart is a bit much for me. And when I say a bit much, I mean that is really, like, that to me, that's asking a lot. So we'll see. I mean, it's not turning me off to the sim or anything, but I'm really curious how they arrived at the place where they thought that was a good idea. That is a mystery. Something that I like about Great Western particularly, in CSX Heavy Haul, there's very little movement. There's really nothing moving except you. You pass a train every now and then. In Rapid Transit, there's quite a bit going on. There's a lot of movement around you. In Great Western, there's movement everywhere in the environment. I really, really like that. I think that definitely... I don't know, should we ask for a pass? Well, now I went out of it. We'll wait here for a minute. Oh, see? Less than a minute. So yeah, I guess I wouldn't say that I'm in a bad mood, but that it's been kind of a weird day. And something else that I've noticed since I started making the videos, something else that I've noticed is there's never been a time in my life, I mean, there have been times that I've wanted to game and times that I have not wanted to game, right? I love gaming, but there are also plenty of times that I would rather do something else. So since I started recording these, it's been the first time in my life where I've ever felt that I have to game. And because of the amount of content that I'm trying to create and some benchmarks that we've set for the channel, at this point I understand that I have no traffic whatsoever. But I also have benchmarks and KPIs that we're pretty serious about in terms of growing the channel. So it's not, the fact that we have no traffic is not an excuse at this point to not adhere to the schedule that we've created. And when content needs to be posted, well, content needs to be created before it can be posted. But if it's a day that something is due on the channel, I have to create a video. And it doesn't matter how tired I am or how busy I am or what else is going on. It's like any other deliverable that you have in any other aspect of your life. And the fact that it is gaming, which is something that I've always done for fun, even though gaming has very often been very frustrating for me, and things like racing simulation that is just, it'll drive you crazy. But you're still doing it for fun. You're not doing it because you have to. You're doing it for fun. I wouldn't say that this is work yet, but like today, I would really, I love being here with all of you, but I would really rather not be recording this tonight. And it's weird that I have to. And I understand a lot of people go to work every day, for lack of a better word. Whether they want to or not, you have to go to work. And I totally get that. And I'm not prepared to call this work yet. For one reason, because I haven't made any money from it. And the other reason is I love doing it. It's not work. It's fun. But I understand now, I guess, a little bit better than at this point in whatever you want to call this process, at this point, I have a much better understanding of why this could be seen as work than I did before. I didn't really get it before, but today sort of brought it home to me. Like, this could be work. As much as I love gaming, this could be work. So I need to get this knocked out. I need to get it into render, and yeah, and we'll call it good. And then the other thing is, of course, that as I'm, and that this is a very free-form genre. I don't have, like, when I sit down here, I don't have a script. I don't have talking points, bullet points, nothing. I just sit down and say whatever pops into my head. I play a game. I talk about the game. I talk about other games, other things that are going on. But I don't have any kind of a, I can say anything that I want. So it's interesting to realize that if I'm having a bad day, I can just talk about the fact that I'm having a bad day. Or whatever. 55. Okay, we're on time. Well, sort of on time. Got a minute to go a quarter mile. It should be okay. Yeah, it's a weird thing, because there is a part of me that thinks, you're cranky. You're not feeling it. People don't need to hear that. They don't want to put up with that. But I'm not saying maybe you do. I'm saying maybe you do. I'll tell you what. Bad mood or not, I'm going to nail this stop. Oh, right? How do I open the doors? This right here. And then that right there. Whew. So yeah, you get what I'm saying. I would really rather not be doing this, but I am. And I need to be mindful of the fact that you're really not coming here to listen to me cry. So bad mood or not, cranky or not, get yourself together, son, and make you a YouTube video. So that's what I'm doing. What else is going on? What did I post today? Farm Sim. Posted a Farm Sim today. And I got Reshade/SweetFX installed in both Farm Sim and Euro Truck Simulator. And I think those are the only two sims that I'm running that I'm going to bring it into. Reason being, the other two that are on the channel currently are Project Cars 2, which runs on the Madness engine, and Moment. All right. I think I need to do this. Right. They see me rolling. Madness engine. So I don't think anything from TSW, and I don't think Project Cars 2 need anything. Open and close prompts will no longer appear. It is up to you to action the doors at further stops. Well, kudos to you for using action as a verb. And point taken. Right. So this is running on Unreal. Project Cars is running on Project Cars 2 is running on Madness. I don't think either one of these need help. Let's take a look. I don't think either one of these need help in the graphics department. I'm going to go ahead and call that solid. So I think we're good to go there. But Farming Simulator in particular, and then ETS2 as well, I think needed a little tweak on the post-processing. And they got one. So that sort of brings us to another point, which is we've got a farming simulator, which is FS17. There are other farm sims. There's Pure Farming, there's Farmers Dynasty. Those are both out. They don't really do it for me compared to Farming Simulator 2017. Soon to become Farming Simulator 2019. And then the other is Cattle and Crops, which is not really out yet. It's still early access. I think that could take a bite out of Farming Simulator 2017, but not today. It's still got a ways to go. So that's the other one. That leaves us with Farming Simulator 2017. I think that's kind of a no-brainer if you're going to have one farm sim, and we do. Same with Euro Truck. What else is there? What other trucking? What other trucking simulator would we have other than ETS2? And the only one that I can think of is ATS, which I have, which I record, and somehow it just doesn't do it for me. I don't know what it is or why, but ATS2, ATS, you know what I'm saying? ATS. It just doesn't do it for me. So I think that's a no-brainer as well. We'll just stick with ETS2. Project Cars. What else do you have for racing? You have Project Cars, you have Assetto Corsa, you have iRacing, and you have, what else? Race Room, maybe? I'm going with Project Cars 2. I think, for me, it came down to Project Cars 2 and Assetto Corsa. I think Assetto Corsa wins on physics and gameplay, but I know Project Cars wins on overall experience, including the quality of the graphics. So that's my racing bid. Train Sim World, obviously, I think is the direction to go in for our train sim. And all that leaves is a flight sim. And we need to figure out which one to use. There, the two that I'm testing right now are Rise of Flight United, which it's old, but it's maintained. And IL-2 Sturmovik. Also old, also maintained. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to record compelling gameplay with those two. It's certainly fun to play, but I don't know if it would ever be fun to watch. Holy smokes, we're on time again. This is like twice times. And there's my doors. Fantastic. So, I don't know. I mean, at this point, then we would have a farm sim, a truck sim, a train sim with several variations, because you got CSX, Rapid Transit, Great Western, and Northeast Corridor. So you never know what you're going to get on the TSW episodes. Project Cars 2 for racing. That leaves the fifth one, which is going to be a flight sim, and I just don't know what I want it to be. And I don't know if we can even do it, because the way that I like to flight sim, I don't know if anybody would ever be down to watch that. I really don't. I like to take off from the airfield. Well, even before that. Start the engine at the airfield. Take off. Fly to the target. Maybe you're successful, maybe you're not. to 30 seconds. Fantastic. Maybe you're successful, maybe you're not. And you fly all the way home. Land the plane, taxi, park, turn the engine off. Long episodes. An hour of episode for 2 minutes of action. I don't know if anybody wants to watch that. So I don't know if we're going to do a flight sim. But I don't know if anybody wants to watch any of this, because the way that I sim is definitely not it's slow, man. It's really slow. And I know that. I think the trick is to find an audience that wants to see realistic transport simulations the way that I play them. We'll see. Right. So how far are we going? We got 1.8 miles, and we need to be there in 2.5 minutes. I think we should be okay. These scenarios are weird for me because some of them are so difficult that when you then get into another one that is not as difficult, it suddenly seems easy. And it's not. It's just not as difficult as the ones that are next to impossible. Curious. I'm going to hit the vape while I have a second here. Right. And I guess all these routes in TSW are a 24-hour active service. So if you want to jump into service, you can take control of any train that is running any route. And I guess there's a lot of them. Like as many trains as you'd have in a real service in an area. I kind of like that. I think that's a good way for there to be plenty to do in the game without it getting kind of boring and kind of redundant. Although, I mean, in fairness, these are all sort of boring because they're all sort of doing the same thing. But somehow they're not boring at all. Somehow they're really compelling. I know I've had people watch me play Farm Sim in real life, and the way the conversation goes, it's a fairly standard pattern. But somehow it'll come up. Farm Sim will come up. And then a person will say, well, is that like Farmville? I played that on my phone. No, it's not like Farmville. It's a whole different thing. Oh, what's it like? And if I have my laptop with me, go grab my laptop, plug the laptop into the big TV in the living room, and fire up Farm Sim. And initially, there's some oohs and ahs, like, oh, yeah, oh, wow, yeah, oh, oh, look at all these tractors, solid. So, and then after maybe 8 minutes, 10 minutes, people are like, so that's it? Like, you just farm? Yeah, man, it's a farming simulator. It simulates farming. Look, I'm farming. I'm driving a tractor, I'm mowing grass, I'm doing farm stuff. And I wouldn't quite call it a disconnect, but you can feel people looking at it like, oh, well, that's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. So, admittedly, a lot of these sims that we are so into, to people that aren't into them, it is like the dumbest thing in the world. Driving a truck. You drive a truck across Europe. You just drive a truck across Europe. Yes, it's fantastic. You just drive a truck across Europe. You sit in traffic. You go through toll booths. Yes, it's awesome. And people don't get it. So I think this is no different. And the idea that we would be running passenger service on the Great Western Line, to a lot of people, it's like, well, then what happens? Like, when do the zombies come? There are no zombies. You just stop at platforms, pick up passengers, drop them off, try to be on time, try not to speed. So we love it, but I think for people that don't love it, it is just like some kind of weird voodoo. But so it goes. It's that way with a lot of things. I'm sure there are people that love playing the clarinet, and for people that don't play the clarinet, it's like, man, why would you do that? But it's just what they want to do. And I love transport simulation. I have since I was probably 7 or 8 years old. So it's safe to say that literally my whole life, I have just been not quite obsessed, but I've been enamored with transport sim. And I think that's the real reason I started the channel. Is I can't get enough of this stuff. So why not, right? So yeah, we got a farm, we got a truck, we've got a race car, and we've got a train. We just need to figure out what flight sim to get in there, and I'm pretty sure that's the whole quiver at that point. That's all our transport sims. Great Western, I am very impressed with. As impressed as I am with CSX or Rapid Transit. I'm curious. I assume Northeast Corridor will be as good as these two. These two DLC plus the base game. I assume it'll be just as good. I don't even know if we need to get Northeast Corridor, because at this point we have one freight, one passenger, and one freight passenger hybrid. I think maybe we're good, but why not? I mean, we have everything else. Why not complete the set? But yeah, I think we've got enough. Plus, I mean, there's always new stuff coming out, and new things to try, and new games to evaluate. So yeah, I think we've got enough to fill the channel, and a little bit left over to experiment with. Although I do miss some of the DLC for Train Simulator 2018. Some of the mountain routes in Austria and Switzerland. Right. Take a look there. Be nice if there were some names on here so we could see where we were. I guess I could just read this sign. West Drayton. Yeah, that's where we are. I knew that. Little compatriot right there. Hey, buddy. Right. And I think we're almost done. I think there's maybe one or two more stops on here. It's a 30-minute scenario. We've been going pretty good. Making good time. Yeah, a lot of movement here. A lot more than in CSX. I really like that. Ivor. What time? 10:13. 2 minutes, mile and a half. I think we'll be all right. What do you think? Keeper? I think so. And you know what's funny is this game has been out. Now this DLC, I don't know. I think it's been out for less than a year. Well, I guess the game has been out for about 9 months, so this DLC has probably been out for 6 or 7 months. But it's been out for a while. I'm definitely behind the curve as far as the DLC for TSW. And it's going to be my excuse for a long time to come. I didn't even know TSW was released. I was still waiting, and I kept kind of pushing away from CSX, like, oh, that's cool, but I'm waiting for TSW. And then, of course, the incident. But I'll make up for lost time. Try to get caught up as quick as I can. And I know there have been plenty of videos of all of these DLC already, but, you know, so what? There have been plenty of videos of a lot of things. Doesn't mean there can't be another one from me. Right. Start slowing down. Oh, man, I am killing it today with these stops. You'd never think I have no idea what I'm doing. Yeah, you saw that last episode of Rapid Transit. I was fighting that thing all the way across Leipzig. Something about this train is just easier to control. All right. So I think well, I take that back. I thought we were near the end of the service, but we're sort of in the middle. All right, let me hop back in here. Man, there's just so much movement and life in this sim. So many things happening. Really like that. Langley. Right, 1.5 miles, 2 minutes. We ought to be okay. I think we've been almost on time this scenario. I'm almost always late, but I think we've been very close to on time for all our stops. You know, some of the scenery, you probably don't want to look too closely at it, but that's true of most big world games. You know, unless it's the Division or something. But the thing about the Division, you know, all the accolades that the Division got for being eye candy, you know, something that we sort of gloss over is that you're never really looking very far in that game. The furthest you're looking is like, what, maybe a couple hundred yards? Whereas here, you can look miles away. So it's a kind of an apples and oranges thing. The Division is a great game. It is eye candy. It's a gorgeous game to look at. I think that may be the reason I went ahead and fired up Reshade and SweetFX for Eurotruck. Just almost missed that one. Let's see if I got all my doors on the platform. Yeah, that front one is pretty close to the barricade, but it counts. That all counts. Yeah, and it's weird because when I look, and you'll see it in the next video, I'll turn it on and off and on and off. But the difference between base game graphics and SweetFX in like ETS2, SweetFX Reshade, it does look almost a little bit fake, but even though it looks fake, it looks better and somehow more realistic. It's really hard to explain. I was in advertising and design for a long time, and I've done a lot of campaigns and a lot of branding and signage and visual communications. And it's crazy. You don't know it unless you get out there and actually do it. But, moment. You don't really understand until you get out and see the world with a graphic designer's eye, or when you look at signage and actually think about it with like a tape measure and a level. It's crazy how much outdoor advertising, which is signage. When I say outdoor advertising, I'm talking about signs, billboards, things like that. It's crazy how wrong some of them are deliberately. Because in visual communications, you very often need to make something wrong geometrically or mathematically. You need to make it wrong for it to visually look right. And what matters is that it looks right, not that it is right. And there are some people, really, they can never get past that. They can't, and I'm talking about art students and designers. They can't ever get to that place where they understand it has to be wrong to look right. They want it to be right, even if it doesn't look as good as it could. So for something like Reshade in ETS2, I understand when I'm looking at it, this might not be right, but it looks right, even though it's a little bit exaggerated, maybe. Does that make sense? Same in Farm Simulator. You'll see. We'll do a couple videos, and I'll turn the effects on and off to compare. It is a little bit mental, but somehow it works. Somehow it looks right. Really hard to explain, but that's what we're going with. It's too late now. Well, no, I take that back. It's not too late now. I can just turn it off. I can uninstall it. But I want to let it roll for a while. I like the way it looks. It's a little bit, particularly in Farm Sim, it's a little bit weird. It's like the first time you see a movie from a bad print on high def TV, right? Like, oh, maybe there were some things that we could have left, right? Like we didn't need to see that in high def. So I feel like some of the sharpening and some of the things that Reshade does in Farm Sim, it's like if the textures aren't as good as they ought to be, or, you know, diddly do, you see what I'm trying to say. If the textures aren't as good as they ought to be, then when you sharpen them, they look even worse, I think. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. But I don't know. I'm forever chasing the dragon. You know me. Nothing's ever good enough. I always have to be messing with everything. I always got to be messing. But for the moment, I like the way it looks. Whoa. See, that's the kind of speed limit thing that they ding me. They done me. right. And that snuck up on me too. I didn't know we were getting to the end of the line. But we are definitely at the end of the line. Set the reverser to off. And the key to locked.
Good work on that run. There are plenty more duties you can sign up to if you're interested.
Head over to the exit to finish for the day. You got it. Folks, thanks for stopping by. Check out another episode of The Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of TSW. Great Western. That's the one. Great Western DLC. I realize it's been a bit of an odd episode tonight. It's been kind of an odd day. So thanks for hanging in there. Appreciate you stopping by. And we'll see you soon. Take care now.